this video, we are going to talk about a new type of sandhi, specifically a new type of vowel sandhi known as Vṛddhi sandhi or Vridhi sandhi. It switches between ru or ri because of that vowel that we have. So I'll call it Vṛddhi sandhi for now. Now, generally speaking, once again, sandhi is a combination, right, of words. So when we have Sanskrit words, a lot of times when we see Sanskrit texts, there are long words, long phrases. And so that is all in sandhi form. And so we'll have to break them down individually to understand the grammatical form, etc., to find the meaning of the words. Now, if you haven't already subscribed, please do so by hitting the lotus icon on the bottom right of the screen for more videos on Indian philosophy, yoga, Sanskrit, etc. And also, I do offer private tutoring lessons one-on-one on these particular topics. So if you have any questions or inquiries about this, please do email me at theacademyofserenity@gmail.com. Before we begin the lesson, I will be referring to this book called Learning Sanskritam, a Sanskrit Reader, by one of my advisors or Sanskrit advisors named Dr. Raja Rao Bandaru. He's brilliant, organized, and very disciplined, and you definitely see that in his work. In the previous video, we talked about something called guna sandhi, right? Where a or a is preceded by another vowel such as e or u or u or ri to form a guna letter as the final product, right? So when a or a plus e or e combine, they form a. When a or u combine, they form o, right? Or when a or ri and a longer ri form to combine These are guna letters. Now we start to ask the question, okay, well, we see the combination of a and the combination of o. So what's going on? What about I and o, right? We have I and o. So in this video, it's going to be a short video, and we're going to see how I and o are formed. Now, once again, why is this important? This is important because when you're reading Sanskrit, when you're looking through the text, there's going to be huge words, right? And you're going to be like, what does that mean? You type it in the dictionary, you can't really find it, and you start to realize that, oh wait, there's a sandhi, there's a combination there. If you break it, then you'll be like, oh, that's the word, that's the smaller word. I now know what that means. That's the next word. And then I can see the compound, how it works, and then start defining it. So, Vṛddhi sandhi, right? The combination of this way. So first, whenever we have a or a, right, plus a, we are going to get I. This is how it's formed. A or a plus a is going to form I. Okay? This is the first example of Vṛddhi sandhi. Now, the example here is, okay, so we have this. In the text we have chitva, right, plus enam, right? Chitva plus enam. Now, notice here we have an a at the end of the va, so an invisible a, right? Once again, when you add the vowel a to a consonant, all it does is that this is the pure consonant, nothing is added to it. You're adding the vowel a, and so this is just removed, and that's all it is. When you add other vowels, then there's going to be different combinations of different things. So we have chitva and enam. So here, now we remember a or a plus a is here, right? A here plus a, you're going to form I. So it's going to change into this. So chit vainam, chitvainam, that. So when you see this word in a text, you're like, whoa, I don't understand what this is, right? When you start to understand that you could break these things down, then you'll start to understand, okay, wait, I'm going to identify each of these words, but you'll notice a sandhi is here, and then you'll break it into its component parts, okay? I'm not really sure if this has a particular meaning. I'll have to check, but this particular phrase right here is provided as an example. Enam, I know it does here, But for now, we'll just look at the grammatical rules and whatnot. So, chitva and enam form chitvainam. Okay? Now, what exactly is happening here? Now, remember, this vowel here and this vowel here, they get removed. Really, when they're getting removed, they're getting combined. Okay? So, there's no removal of this because it's already not there. Right? Only thing you're going to see is that gets removed, right? That gets removed because you're combining it. This is an independent vowel. It's only seen at the beginning of a word, right? So this is going to get removed, right? This one is going to get removed, but it's already removed in a way because it's not seen, right? And you combine it now to make this Ai vowel, right? So once again, we are going to remove the preceding vowel and the following vowel by combining them and attaching them to the previous consonant, okay? So it's going to be chitvainam, and that's how it's going to be here. If we zoom in again, right? It's going to be, you're going to add it right there, okay? So, because that one disappeared, okay? I know I'm repeating myself, but it's just really important to do so. So here we have a or a plus a equals ai, okay? Now the next rule, let's see. So the next rule here is going to be, okay, now we have O. How do we form the vowel O? So a or a plus O equals O. Simple. A or a plus O equals O. O. Right, this is O, this is O. Okay. So the example for the Vṛddhi Sandhi of O, that is the formation of O, is as follows. We have the word Maha plus O Dhi. Maha plus Oshadhihi. Here we have in the transliteration Oshadhihi. Right? So Oshadhihi. Okay. Maha plus Oshadhihi. Again, it's a or a plus O. Right? And we get O. Right? So here we have a, long a, followed by an O, right? So we're following the rules, and we're going to get O. So again, what we have to do is we have to remove the preceding vowel and the following vowel and combine them to form this final Vṛddhi vowel right here and attach it to the previous consonant. And so what we are going to get is Mahau Shadhihi. Right? Mahau Shadhihi. Mahau O Shadhihi. Mahau Shadhihi. Now, this vowel is mispronounced a lot. It's mispronounced as Au, right? It's not Au. It's very important. So it's not Gaurava. It's Gaurava. Gaurava. Okay? So it's O, not Au. So it's very important to pronounce these letters correctly. You know, we're hearing the word karma and dharma and stuff. It's not that, right? It's karma, dharma, gauravaha. So we have to, when learning Sanskrit, using Sanskrit words, encourage the proper pronunciation of these words, or else it's just going to get diluted and people are going to keep mispronouncing it everywhere. You know. So we have the gods' names: Shiva, Krishna, Vishnu, Ganesha, right? These are the different pronunciations of the names of the gods, right? Karma, dharma, right? These concepts here. So it's very important that we pronounce it, because in Vedic society and in the Vedic texts, pronunciation was one of the Vedangas, limbs of the Vedas. To pronounce something correctly, or pronunciation and grammar, etc., right? to pronounce something correctly was so important, because when a ritual was done, right, when a yajna was done, if the pronunciation was not correct, then the Brahmins or the Brahmanas would have to redo the ritual again from the beginning. So it was very strict. And the whole idea is that the sound, it correlates or is associated with the celestial, the universe actually. So what you're saying, you're actually putting into effect to the universe, and it's coming back. Because the Vedas involved, "Oh Indra, please, favor us, give us progeny, give us cows, give us safety, help us win in war," etc. All these profound favors, And so if you're mispronouncing it, the deities' names and the different mantras and whatnot, according to the theology, according to the belief system, right? The pronunciation is really important. If some of you have a mantra practice, right? You want to get the mantra correctly. It's okay to make mistakes. I make mistakes, we all make mistakes, but when learning Sanskrit and Indian philosophy, Hinduism, Buddhism, etc., or any tradition for that matter, should strive to put in effort and energy to make proper pronunciations. Okay, so I went off on this mini lesson here, but okay, so Maha Oshadhihi, Mahoshadhihi. Okay, what happens if you have a, right, or a plus I, the last one we just formed, right? Or what happens if we have a or a plus o, right? O or I. Simple. It still is I. It still is O. Sorry. Still is O. Okay? It just stays that way. It doesn't change. Okay? So in Guna Sandhi we had A and E became A, and A and U became O. In Vṛddhi Sandhi we have A and A become I, and A and O become O. But now if we go further and it's like A and A plus I, you're going to get I. A and A plus O, you're going to get O. Now, so the example for this is going to be Bhoga plus Aishvaryam. Bhoga plus Aishvaryam. So I believe this means power, strength, or some sort of a power here. Synonymous with the word Siddhi, which is perfection, but Bhoga plus Aishvaryam. Here, very simple again. So if A here plus I, it's going to become I. You take the previous vowel, remove it, next vowel, remove it, combine it, and put it on the previous one. So Bho Gaish Varyam. Bho Gaish Varyam. Right? Previously here we had Bhoga plus Aishvaryam. The Sandhi concludes that we have Bhogaishvaryam. Okay? It's the same thing here. It doesn't change. And the following example we have with O, right? O here. So A or A plus O, right? Doesn't change. You're going to get O. The example written here is Tava plus Aunatyam. Okay. So Tava plus Aunatyam. Let me just check one more time. Tava plus Aunatyam. It's a double N. Aunatyam. So Tava, which should mean your, and then O Nat Yum. This is a conjunct consonant right here. So there's no change here. So it's just showing it this way. So we have Tavau Natyam. Tavau natyam. Okay? Tavau natyam. It's interesting because we are combining these words to allow for the fluidity and the smoothness of these words to come together. You know, we have Nara plus Indra, Narendra, right? We have Tava plus Aunatyam to form Tavaunatyam. More examples. Again, Maha Oshadhihi, Mahoshadhihi. And then giving more examples, we have Bhoga plus Aishvaryam, Bhogaishvaryam. Then we have Chitva, Enam, Chitvainam, right? You're forming and combining these words to allow for its fluidity. And then when you see them, you can break them down and identify the original words. It's beautiful. And yeah, I know I went into sort of a lesson in the video, but I think it's very important, you know, whatever language you're learning, you try your best to get the pronunciation down. I mean, I've seen academics, you know, people who are academics who are mispronouncing the words like really badly. And I mean, it's just really important. If you're going to dive into the language, you want to pronounce the words as best as possible, including myself. When I make mistakes, I have to correct myself, you know? And so we do justice to the tradition. We do justice to the text. We do justice to what we're learning, you know? That which is offering us knowledge in some way and in many ways. This should conclude the Vṛddhi Sandhi, part of the Vowel Sandhi. We have about 2 more and 1 sub-rule. So we have number 1, Savarna Dirgha Sandhi, which is the same class combination here. We had number 2, Guna Sandhi, number 3, Vṛddhi Sandhi, and number 4 will be Yarn Sandhi, and number 5 will be Ayava Sandhi. And there's going to be a rule under that called Purva Rupa Sandhi. So there's going to be 5 to 6 main vowel sandhis. I know it's a lot, but step by step, if we focus on it and if we learn it, we'll be able to identify and read Sanskrit in an independent way, so we don't really have to depend on translations. And not that we shouldn't entertain other translations. Definitely entertain translations, learn about them and whatnot. But as we start to develop an independent understanding of Sanskrit, it'll be, you know, very powerful. We'll start to be like, hey, well, that word doesn't make sense. That translation doesn't make sense. That makes more sense. And you'll be able to go through it and do it on your own. Especially if you're really interested in yoga and all of these texts. If you're really interested in them and you want to dive into them, it's really helpful. And that's why I'm making these videos. I do want to make this so accessible to everyone that they can start from not knowing anything to being able to read, write, and understand the meaning and the grammatical understanding of it, you know. And I'm learning too. I'm still learning as well. So for now, we went over Vṛddhi Sandhi. We'll go over Yarn Sandhi in the next Vowel Sandhi video. And we'll work on other videos such as a Yoga Sutra, etc. So, and if you haven't already subscribed, please do so by hitting the lotus icon on the bottom right of the screen, and we'll have more videos coming on the way.